What is poppin', your boy RaJuR deepkool? Finally decided to crack the guitar out. Cause I haven't played this joint in a minute. Holla at your boy. Alright, so I'm gonna stop that song. That's a song I was just gonna use for like meditation night. Cause I listen to a lot of meditation music. My name is RaJuR deepkool. I want to thank the Heavenly for the opportunity to be able to see you guys, and I hope that you are doing well tnight. Let me see if I can scoot this camera over just a little bit more. Well, not actually a camera, it is a yeah. Oh boy, here we go. It'll take much for me to, with all the stuff I have back here. I don't know what happened. Hello? John was fire. Mic check. Mic check. I don't know if I hit the wrong button or something. I did something. We don't have any more mic. I used to have a lot of mic. Now we don't have any mic. There you go. I guess I got to turn it all the way up. Something happened. So I'm going to play some tracks. More like a lot of these songs. We're either going to be, I'm going to write some words to them and have some people come over and sing them. Or maybe I'll just play guitar over top of them. Maybe some of them be instrumentals, some could be interludes. Like I always do for all my albums. This is what I do, you know what I mean? You're going to get 20 tracks, one way or the other. With interludes, all this stuff, you're going to get that. That's how I roll. That's how I pops it off. But tonight, I haven't played the guitar in a while, so I forgot to mess around and play guitar over a couple tracks. And then I'm going to go and chill, all right? So because I know I'll be getting calls while I'm popping it off. Let me try to answer the phone. All right, so let's go to the next song. Yo, man, I'm telling you, boy, I'm telling you. Sometimes it's just a pain to have so much stuff down here. because a lot of times I might do something that I don't normally do, and like having the headphones on and playing guitar. I haven't done this, and I got this cable here, waiting for a catastrophe to happen. Just like my mic went down in volume all of a sudden. Man, it's just crazy, but we're gonna try to make this work without having this whole studio end up on the floor. And the jacked up thing about it is I don't have a guitar tuner back here. Hold on. Oh, which is another trip to disaster land. Hold on. I'm just gonna leave the mic on. I'm just gonna assume you can hear me. And if you can't, just let me know. I could be out at open mic night somewhere. I don't know. I ain't feel like going out. So I'm gonna tune the guitar up because this joint ain't been tuned in a while. Maybe get my bass and start playing that too. That joint wasn't even close. All right, this sound. Put these headphones back on so I can hear what it sounds like coming out to you guys. The disadvantage of doing this way, here we go, this cable. I gotta put an extension cable on this thing, man, for this hookup. Because actually what's happening is my mixer, well actually my control center is going out straight to you guys, but it's not going to be in stereo. I'll hear it in stereo, but you won't hear it in stereo. I do not do smooth jazz music. My music is not considered smooth jazz. Don't ever call me a smooth jazz artist because I'm not. My music is considered RaJuR music. There's no music out there like mine. There's nobody doing music like me. It ain't gonna never happen, and it ain't never happened since I've been doing albums. My music don't sound like anybody else's. I'm not trying to sound like anybody else. I'm not trying to get a friggin' record deal for nobody, and I'm just gonna do what I do, because I'm on a record label. I assign myself to myself, AKA Homeboy Ludacris. So let's go ahead on and start a song up. I mean, this is the first time I'm playing on songs. I ain't had a guitar in so long. See how I come out. And that was an error last night because I was resetting all the settings and everything before I shut down the studio, and I forgot I can't do that while I'm recording the song because it'll lock up all the instruments. So that's what happened with that intro. So it would have been faded out by that time anyway. All right, next song. I don't know what these are. I'm just playing them back to back. RaJuR music. Bars. 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 RaJuR bars. RaJuR music. RaJuRmusic.com. Stop playing me. Y'all gonna stop playing with me. You're gonna stop playing. Gonna stop playing with me, this Grammy hat. You're gonna stop playing with me. Either you on board or you not. Next, slow it down. Phew. Getting hot back here. I need to turn that fan on, turn the fan up over here. All right, one more song, I think. How many I got left? There might be more than that. Hold on. I don't know. Getting hot though. RaJuRmusic.com. RaJuRmusic.com. Ain't no smooth jazz over here, player. We don't get down like that. Cause smooth jazz players can't dance. Get it. Get it. Woo! How's your boy? Yeah. Last song. That's it for the night. I'm done. There's actually another song on there. I don't feel like it. Hot back here. I ain't turned the fan on before I embarked on this endeavor. I wasn't going to do this, but I just had the tracks up. I was doing some wiring and whatsoever, which I could have waited till tomorrow. But I was like, y'all, let me crack out the guitar, play a little bit for y'all, let y'all know what's about to happen with this new album. It's about to pop off. It's going to be popping. And some of the songs I'll be playing bass on. You know, stuff. But right now, yeah, a little hot back here. Time for me to call it a night. I'm outie. Thank y'all for stopping by. Check out my website, RaJuRmusic.com. And you can also Google me, RaJuR deepkool. You can also download some music, other places. But I'd rather you contact me and I'll send you a download of any song you want. So if you hear a song on SoundCloud, let me know. I only charge $1 a song, and I'll send you the song via MP3. If you buy a certain amount, like if you buy 5, I'll give you 2 free, you know, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So help a brother out, you know what I mean? I ain't trying to say help like I'm begging, but I'm saying that, you know, hey, I'm here, I'm making music, I'm working on my new album. It would be cool to know you guys support me. And I got, like I said, I got a lot of overseas situations going on, but I'd rather hear from my own people that's here, whether it's in Philly, Grammy members here, whatever, that y'all can check me out and get ready for this new album called The Process. All right, so I'm out. Take care of yourself. Have a good night. Bam, boom, I'm out.